Okay, so our next little mini lesson about colors is going to teach us how to know which color word to use based on the number and the gender of the noun it describes. Okay, because in Spanish, this might not make sense quite yet to you, but in Spanish, every noun is going to have a number, meaning it's either singular or plural, and it's going to have a gender, meaning it's either masculine or feminine. And so because of that, you can have 4 different combinations. You can have singular masculine, singular feminine, or you can have plural masculine or plural feminine. And because of those 4 combinations, there's usually going to be 4 different ways to say each color word. Okay? So it's different than in English. Like, for example, with this color in English, there's only one way to say it. You say blue, right? If you have a blue car, you say blue. If it's plural, if the car changes to plural and you say cars, it's still blue. You say I have blue cars. Those are blue cars, okay? And so it's just blue. You don't change the way you say blue, okay? If you say house, it's a blue, still the word blue, blue house. If it's houses, you still say blue, blue houses, okay? Now in Spanish, all 4 of those, blue car, blue cars, blue house, blue houses, the word for the color blue is actually going to change on each of those because in Spanish, the word car is masculine, and if it's car, it'd be singular, so it's masculine, singular. So there's one way to say that. Sorry, actually, I just realized with the color blue, it actually does not do the gender thing. So there's 2 ways with the color blue in Spanish, but some of these are going to have 4 ways. Like red is going to have 4 ways. Yellow will have 4 ways. White's going to have 4 ways to say it. Anyway, but with blue, there's only 2 because there's not a gender in Spanish for some reason. It's just the number. So if it's singular, you'll say it one way. So a blue car or blue house. The word for blue would be the same for those 2 because those are both singular. But if you're saying blue cars or blue houses, the word you're going to use for the color blue is going to change on those because it's plural. Okay. So do you remember how to say blue in Spanish? Yeah, good. So we learned it. There's the word azul. Okay. So azul means blue. Now that's actually the singular way to say blue. So if you're talking about something plural, you're going to say azules. Okay. So if it's singular, you say azul. If it's plural, you say azules. So like one blue car, you would say un carro azul. But if you're saying 2 blue cars, you're going to say dos carros azules. Azules. Okay. So carro azul, carros azules. Same thing with house. If you're saying a blue house, una casa azul, that's singular. But if it's houses, if there's like 2 houses, you'd say dos casas azules. Okay? So the color blue, azul, the color blue, it can either be the word azul or the word azules. Okay? Now, with the color red, there's going to be 4 options because this one does have numbers, singular and plural, and it also has gender, masculine and feminine. Okay? So the 4 ways you can say red in Spanish, you can either say rojo, which is the way we learned it previously. You can either just say, you can say rojo, or to make that plural, you would add an S and say rojos. Okay? So you can say rojo or rojos. To make it feminine singular, you would say roja, okay, roja. And to make it feminine plural, you would add an S to it and say rojas, okay. So in Spanish, the word car, the gender for the word car is masculine. Okay, it's the word carro. That word carro is a masculine word in Spanish. Okay, so one red car, you're going to say un carro rojo. You're going to say rojo because it's masculine, singular. Okay, and then if it's cars, like 2 red cars, then you have to make the word cars plural and the word red plural. So you'd say dos carros rojos. Dos carros rojos. Okay. But we're saying rojos because it's masculine plural. You would never say dos carros rojas. Okay, that doesn't work because rojas is feminine, but the word carros is masculine, so the color red, when you're saying a red car, it has to be masculine as well. So carros rojos. Okay, so one red car, carro rojo. Plural red cars, you're going to say carros rojos. Okay. Now, the word house in Spanish is feminine. It's a feminine word. Okay, the gender of the word house is feminine. It's the word casa. Casa means house. So if you have one house, it's going to be singular. So if it's one red house, you'd say una casa roja. Una casa roja. Okay. But if it's more than one, then you have to make the word house plural by changing it to, and we do this in English too, you change it to houses, right? In Spanish, you're going to change it from casa to casas, okay? And then if you make that plural, you also have to make the word for the color red plural, so you'd have to say casas rojas, rojas, okay? So you'd have carro rojo, red car, carros rojos, red cars, casa roja, red house, casas rojas, red houses. Okay. Now, this one's going to do the same thing. There's going to be 4 options. Do you remember how to say the color yellow in Spanish? Good. Remember we learned that it was amarillo. Okay, but now there's going to be 4 options. So you can either say amarillo, amarillos, amarilla, or amarillas. Okay. So if we're saying a yellow car, you can say carro amarillo. If you're saying yellow cars, you're going to say carros amarillos. If you're saying a yellow house, you would say casa amarilla. And if you're saying yellow houses, you're going to say casas amarillas. Okay? So yellow house, casa amarilla. Yellow houses, casas amarillas. Yellow car, carro amarillo. Yellow cars, carros amarillos. Okay. All right. Same thing will happen with this next color. Do you remember how to say it in Spanish? Good. We learned it as blanco, but now we're going to see there's 4 options with that one. So you have blanco, blancos, blanca, or blancas. Okay. So white car, carro blanco. White cars, carros blancos. White house, casa blanca. White houses, casas blancas. And by the way, that is how they say White House, like the president's house in the United States, is La Casa Blanca, okay, the White House. And you probably have heard of the movie Casablanca, which kind of refers to things with the White House. Anyway, so white car, carro blanco. White cars, carros blancos. White house, Casa Blanca. White houses, casas blancas. Okay, let's go to the next color. Do you remember how to say black in Spanish? Good. Remember that was the word negro. So now we're going to have 4 options for that one. You can either say negro or negros, negra, or negras. Okay. So a black car, you would say carro negro. Black cars, you're going to say carros negros. Black house, you're going to say casa negra. Black houses, you're going to say casas negras. Okay. All right, the next color, do you remember how to say that one in Spanish? Good, that was the color verde. Okay, green, the color green is verde. Now this one in Spanish actually is another one that does not have a gender. Okay, it's like blue. Okay, a blue just had the singular and plural, right? So either azul or azules, but no gender. Same thing's going to happen with verde. Okay, so it's either verde or verdes. Okay, so a green car, you would say carro verde. Green house, you would say casa verde. Green cars, you're going to say carros verdes. Green houses, you'd say casas verdes. Okay, so that one doesn't have a gender you have to worry about. Okay, the color brown. Do you remember how to say brown? Remember this one had 2 words? Okay, good. Remember it's either marron or cafe. And this is also another one that does not have gender, okay? So it's either going to be cafe or cafes. Cafe if it's singular, cafes if it's plural. So like a brown car, you'd say carro cafe. Brown cars, you'd say carros cafes. Brown house, you'd say casa cafe. Or a brown houses, you'd say casas cafes. Or if you're using marron instead of the word cafe, brown car, say carro marrón. Brown cars, carros marrones. Brown house, casa marrón. Brown houses, casas marrones. Okay. All right, next we have the color pink. Do you remember how to say that in Spanish? Okay, good. Remember the song? He said rosa, but you can also say rosado. Now, I'm not 100% sure when you use rosa as the color pink. I don't know on that one if you can change the gender on it. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. Like, I don't think I've heard anyone use the word roso. Okay. But if you're using the word rosado instead of rosa, then you can change the gender. With rosa, you probably can't change the number on it. So you can probably do rosa or rosas, but I don't think you can change it to rosos, to roso or rosos. Okay. Anyway, let's start with rosado though. So if you're saying a pink car, you'd say carro rosado. Pink cars, carros rosados. Pink house, casa rosada. Pink houses, casas rosadas. Okay. And if you use rosa, you could say casa rosa. Or pink houses, casas rosas. I think you can say that. But I don't think you'd use that for cars. Like you wouldn't say carro roso or carros rosos. Okay. So if you're going to make it plural, as far as I know, you're going to want to use these words and not that word. Okay. All right. Okay. The next color purple. Do you remember how to say that one in Spanish? Okay, good. Remember the color morado. Now this one is going to have number and gender. So 4 ways to say it. You can say morado, you can say morados, you can say morada, or you can say moradas. Okay. So if it's a purple car, you'd say carro morado. Purple cars, you'd say carros morados. Purple house, you'd say casa morada. Purple houses, you'd say casas moradas. Okay. All right, the next color, the color orange. Remember how to say that one in Spanish. Okay, good. Remember the song? He said naranja. But I also told you the other way to say it is anaranjado. Okay, now as far as I know, naranja is kind of like the word rosa over here. I don't think you would change the gender on that one. And I don't think you'd do the masculine plural form with that one. So anyway, at least I've never heard it used that way, but I might be wrong on that. Okay. Anyway, color orange. So if you have an orange car, you'd say carro anaranjado. Orange cars, carros anaranjados. Orange house, casa anaranjada. Or orange houses, casas anaranjadas. Okay. If it's something feminine, like a house, you could say casa naranja. I think that does work. Or plural houses, like orange houses, casas naranjas. I think you can say. But I don't, like I said, I don't think the gender thing works with that one. I don't think you'd say orange car. I don't think you'd say carro naranjo. Or orange cars, carros naranjos. Okay. Anyway, personally, I've never heard anyone say that. Use it that way. Okay, the next color gray. Do you remember how to say that in Spanish? Okay, good. Remember that the color gray is the word gris. Okay, and this one is another one that does not have gender. Okay, so it's like azul and verde and cafe and marron. Okay, it does not have gender. All you have to worry about is the number. So if it's singular or plural. Okay, so if you're saying a gray car, you'd say carro gris. If it's a gray house, you would still say gris. You'd say casa gris. Okay, so gray car is carro gris. Gray house is casa gris. Gray cars, you'd say carros grises. And gray houses, you'd say casas grises. Okay. All right. So with the colors, for blue, you can say azul or azules. For red, you can say rojo, rojos, roja, rojas. For yellow, you can say amarillo, amarillos, amarilla, amarillas. For white, you can say blanco, blancos, blanca, blancas. For black, you can say negro, negros, negra, negras. For green, you can say verde or verdes. For brown, you could say café or cafés. Or also for brown, you can say marrón or marrones. For pink, you can say rosado, rosados, rosada, rosadas. Or if you say it the other way, you can say rosa. And like I said, I think you can make it plural and say rosas. Okay, for purple, you can say morado, morados, morada, moradas. For orange, you can say anaranjado, anaranjados, anaranjada, anaranjadas. Or if you're using the other way, you can say naranja for orange and make it plural, naranjas. And then for gray, you can either say gris or grises. Okay, gris or grises. Okay, on this lesson, we're also going to we're going to do a little practice with this. Okay. So, like we were just saying, house is feminine. So if we have one house, so let me go back. So if you have one blue house, how do you say one blue house in Spanish? Okay, good. It'd be una casa azul. Una casa azul. Okay, one blue house. Just a reminder here, remember that you say the noun and then the adjective. Literally, what you're saying is one house blue. But in English, we would change the order of the adjective and the noun. We would say blue first and then house, right? So if you were saying this the English way, you'd say una azul casa. But in Spanish, that's incorrect. Yeah, you have to say the noun first, then the adjective. Una casa azul. Okay, so one blue house, una casa azul. Okay, how would you say that? Okay, the word for two is the word dos, right? So now you're going to say dos casas. And then you have to make blue plural. You have to say azules, okay? So dos casas azules, two blue houses. Two houses blues, but in English, two blue houses. Sorry, in Spanish. Yeah, in English, two blue houses. Dos casas azules. Okay, now what do we have? And you can ignore these up here. We're just going to talk about this down here. Okay, so one blue car. In Spanish, you'd say un carro azul. Un carro azul. Okay, so if it's one blue house, you say una casa azul. Two blue houses, you say dos casas azules. One blue car, you say un carro azul. And what if it is two blue cars? Good, you're going to say dos carros azules. Dos carros azules. Okay. And what is this? ¿Qué es esto? Good. Es el color azul. El color azul. And you could, if you make it plural, you're going to say azules. Okay. So that's azul or azules. Okay. Now, what is this? We have one red house. How do you say that in Spanish? Una casa roja. Good. Una casa roja. Remember, you have to make it feminine. The color red, you have to make it feminine because casa is feminine. Okay, so una casa roja. If you have two red houses, that's going to be dos casas. Good. Rojas, right? Dos casas rojas. You have to make it feminine and plural because this word is feminine and plural. Okay. So two red houses, dos casas rojas. Okay, and then down here, one red car, un carro rojo. Un carro rojo, right? With the color red, it does have the number and the gender, right? So the word carro is singular, so rojo instead of rojos. And it is masculine, so you're going to say rojo instead of roja. Un carro rojo. But up here we said roja, right? Casa roja. Casas rojas, but carro rojo. Okay? And this would be these two. You're going to have dos carros rojos. Okay? Dos carros rojos. Rojos has to be masculine because this is masculine. Also has to be plural because this is plural. Okay? So carros rojos. Dos carros rojos. Okay? So you have una casa roja, dos casas rojas, un carro rojo, dos carros rojos. Okay, and then this would be, how many ways can you say that? Good, you can say rojo, you can say roja, you can say rojos or rojas. Okay. Okay, next. One greenhouse. Una casa. Green is the word. Verde. Good. So una casa verde. So one greenhouse. Okay, if you have two greenhouses, now it's dos casas. Instead of verde, now it's going to be verdes. Good. Dos casas verdes. Okay. Two greenhouses. One green car. Un carro verde. Yeah, remember, green is a tricky one. It does not have a gender. So it was casa verde. And this is carro verde. Okay. Even though casa is feminine, carro is masculine. The word verde doesn't change on those because verde, green, doesn't have a gender. Okay. Casa verde, carro verde. Okay. And then if you have two cars, two green cars, you're going to say dos carros verdes. Good. You do have to make it plural, but there is no gender. So dos carros verdes. Okay. So dos casas verdes, dos carros verdes. Una casa verde, un carro verde. Okay. So how many ways are there to say this color? Okay, remember that there's no gender on this one. Good. So it's just two ways. You can say verde if it's singular, or verdes if it's plural. Okay, so verde or verdes. So with green, you can either say verde or verdes. Okay, next, one yellow house or a yellow house. Okay, and that one you're going to say una casa amarilla. Una casa amarilla. Remember, casa is feminine. You have to make yellow feminine. Amarilla. Okay. If you have two yellow houses, it's going to be dos casas amarillas. Good. You have to make it plural. Now it's got to be feminine and plural. Okay, because casas is feminine and plural. Dos casas amarillas. Okay, so we had una casa amarilla, dos casas amarillas. Okay. One yellow car, un carro amarillo. Good. Carro is masculine. You have to make that masculine. Singular. You have to make that singular. Good. Un carro amarillo. Right? So una casa amarilla, un carro amarillo. Okay. Two yellow cars. You can say dos carros amarillos. Right? So un carro amarillo, dos carros amarillos. Okay. Dos casas amarillas, dos carros amarillos. Okay. Okay, so how many ways can you say that color in Spanish? Good. This one does have number and gender, so it's going to be four ways. You can say amarillo, amarilla, amarillos, or amarillas. Okay. Amarillo, like carro amarillo. Amarilla, like casa amarilla. Amarillos, like carros amarillos. And amarillas, like casas amarillas. Okay. So yellow, you can say amarillo, amarilla, amarillos, amarillas. Okay, next, one white house would be, good, una casa blanca. Okay, two white houses, you would say dos casas blancas. Okay, una casa blanca, dos casas blancas. Okay, one white car, un carro blanco. Good. So una casa blanca, but un carro blanco. And two white cars, you can say dos carros blancos. Good. Dos carros blancos. So dos casas blancas, but dos carros blancos. Okay. Good. So for the color white, how many ways can you say it? Good. It's 4 ways because there's number and gender. So the 4 ways are blanco, blanca, blancos, blancas. Right? So you can say blanco, like carro blanco, blanca, like casa blanca, blancos, like carros blancos, or blancas, like casas blancas. Okay, good. Okay, one black house, you would say una casa negra. Good, una casa negra. You have to make it feminine because casa is feminine. Okay. If you have 2 black houses, dos casas negras. Okay, dos casas negras. Okay. One black car. Good, it's gonna be un carro negro. Un carro negro. So it's negro instead of negra because carro is masculine. Okay. And dos carros, 2 black cars. You would say dos carros negros. Good, dos carros negros. Okay. So un carro negro, dos carros negros, una casa negra, dos casas negras. Okay, so how many ways are there to say the color black in Spanish? Good, there's 4 because this one does have, what, 2 things? Good, number and gender. Okay, and the 4 ways you can say it. Okay, you can say negro, like carro negro. You can say negra, like casa negra. You can say negros, like carros negros. Or you can say negras, like casas negras. Okay, so negro, negra, negros, negras. Okay, a brown house or one brown house. Okay, good. You can say una casa café if you're going to use café for the color brown. Or you could say una casa marrón if you're using the word marrón for the color brown. Okay, so una casa café or una casa marrón. Okay, 2 brown houses. You're going to say dos casas cafés or dos casas marrones, depending on what color, what word you use for the color brown. Okay, if it's a brown car, okay, remember that these do not have gender. The color brown doesn't have the gender, okay? So good, it'd be un carro café or un carro marrón. If you have 2 brown cars, okay, good. Dos carros cafés or dos carros marrones. So there's a typo there. There should not be a slash right there. Okay, it should be cafés. I need to fix that. Okay, so anyway, so you have una casa café, dos casas cafés, un carro café, dos carros cafés, or una casa marrón, dos casas marrones, un carro marrón, dos carros marrones. Okay, so to say the color brown, how many ways can you say it? Okay, this one there's no gender, but there are going to be 4 ways just because there's 2 different words that mean brown. Okay, so it's either café or cafés, or marrón or marrones for the color brown. Okay. All right, let's go next. Pink house. One pink house. Okay, now this one, remember there's 2 different words that they use for pink. So if you're using the word rosa, you would say una casa rosa. Or if you're using the other way to say pink, you'd say rosada. Okay, so una casa rosada or una casa rosa. If you have 2 pink houses, Dos casas rosas, if you're using that word, or dos casas rosadas, if you're using that word for pink. Okay, so una casa rosa, dos casas rosas, or una casa rosada, dos casas rosadas. Okay, for the word car, one pink car, you're going to say un carro rosado. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think you would use the word rosa and make it masculine on this, like un carro roso. I've never heard anyone ever say that. I may be wrong. It might be that I've just never heard a native speaker say it that way. And I've maybe, like I said, certain countries might say it that way, but as far as I know, they don't. Okay, so un carro rosado, one pink car. Okay, two pink cars, you're going to say dos carros rosados. Dos carros rosados. Okay, good. So una casa rosada, dos casas rosadas, un carro rosado, dos carros rosados. Okay, so for the color pink, this one does have a number and gender, so how many ways are there to say it? Okay, good. If you're only using the word rosado, there would be 4 ways to say it because of the number and gender, right? You could say rosado, like carro rosado, rosada, like casa rosada, rosados, like carros rosados, or rosadas, like casas rosadas. Okay, and you can also throw the word rosa in there into the mix. You could say casa rosa, and I believe casas rosas, but I don't think you'd say carro roso or carros rosos. Okay. Okay, next color, purple, a purple house. How would you say a purple house? Good. Una casa morada. Okay, but if it's 2 purple houses, dos casas moradas. To make it plural, since we made that plural. Okay, good. 1 purple car, un carro morado. Okay, una casa morada, but un carro morado, because carro is masculine, casa is feminine. Okay, but if you have 2 purple cars, you're going to say, good, dos carros morados. Good, dos carros morados. Okay, dos casas moradas, dos carros morados. Okay, so the color purple has number and gender, so there are 4 ways to say it. What are the 4 ways? Good, you can say morado, like carro morado, morada, like casa morada, morados, like carros morados, or moradas, like casas moradas. Okay, an orange house. Una casa anaranjada. Okay, now remember the song, he said naranja, so you could use that. This is kind of like rosa. I don't think there's the gender with that one. The word I would use is anaranjada, just because I'm more used to that, and I know you can switch that one for all the genders. So anyway, una casa anaranjada or una casa naranja. If you have 2 orange houses, you would say dos casas anaranjadas. Good. Or dos casas naranjas. Okay. So dos casas anaranjadas or dos casas naranjas. An orange car. Un carro anaranjado. Good. Un carro anaranjado. 2 orange cars. Dos carros anaranjados. Good. Dos carros anaranjados. Okay, so how many ways can you say orange in Spanish? And good. There's going to be 4 because number and gender. Unless you throw in the word naranja, then technically there would be 6 ways using that one. Okay, so you can say anaranjado, like carro anaranjado. Anaranjada, like casa anaranjada. Anaranjados, like carros anaranjados. Anaranjadas, like casas anaranjadas. Okay. And in some countries, naranja, like casa naranja, and probably also naranjas, like casas naranjas. Okay. All right, next color is gray. One gray house, or a gray house. Good. Una casa gris. Una casa gris, a gray house. Okay, two gray houses, you'd say. Dos casas grises. Good. Dos casas grises. So, una casa gris, dos casas grises. Okay. A gray car. Remember that the word gray does not have gender. Okay. So all you have to do is make it singular. So it's going to be un carro gris. Okay. So it's una casa gris, un carro gris. Okay. Because those are both singular. If you have two gray cars, okay, no gender, you just have to make it plural. Good. So dos carros grises. Okay. Dos casas grises, dos carros grises. Okay. So with the color gray, how many ways can you say it in Spanish? Good. There's only two ways because there's no gender, right? You can either say gris or grises. Okay, gris or grises. So gris, like casa gris, carro gris, or grises. Dos casas grises, dos carros grises. Okay, and let me check real quick. Okay, yep, that is our last slide on this part. Okay, so hopefully that helped you to figure out how to apply the number and gender rule to colors when you're using them in Spanish. And if you need to, feel free to go back and review this as many times as you need to until you get those down and know them very well. Okay? And we'll see you in our next video.